Well, John, thank you very much. Can I start by thanking this incredibly august audience for being here tonight, slightly intimidating audience, in truth. But thank you so much for being here, and I'm incredibly grateful to you. I want to start by saying that this is a very good day to be talking about the arts, given what happened last night. And I want to congratulate all of the British Oscar winners from last night. I think it is more than 30 years since Colin Welland first said the British are coming, and in a way we've sort of got used to it, because we've got used to British actors, composers, costume designers, makeup artists and many others winning Academy Awards, but we shouldn't take it for granted. It is a tribute to our brilliant film industry, and I'm delighted to pay tribute to all of the winners and indeed the nominees from last night. I'm also going to be a little bit in the spirit of the Oscars in my opening, because I want to do some thank yous of my own. I want to thank Anish Kapoor, with whom I first discussed the idea of this speech, but also obviously Anish for everything you do for the reputation of art and creativity in Britain. I want to thank David Judd, the Artistic Director of the Battersea Arts Centre, for hosting us tonight. I want to thank David Lan, whose work with What Next has blazed a trail for arts policy, and indeed I'll make reference in my speech to a meeting we had over a year ago discussing some of the issues that the arts and culture were facing. John, I want to thank you and John Sorrell for the Creative Industries Federation. As I was saying to you just earlier on, I think that what's happened is this is an idea whose time has obviously come, and you've seen that from the incredible response that you've had. And really, I'm very grateful to you and John for what you are achieving. I also want, ladies and gentlemen, to thank my brilliant deputy, Harriet Harman, who is with us tonight. She's the deputy leader of the Labour Party, as you know, our Shadow Secretary of State for Culture, and also somebody, and this is the theme of my speech really, who is deeply committed and has taught me so much about equality and social justice. So Harriet, thank you. I'm also delighted to have Chris Bryant as part of our team, and I'm delighted to hear you doing a speech on Wednesday. And also we've got Will Martindale, the Labour candidate here in Battersea. I want to start by making reference to something that's up and around this building. This is obviously formerly Battersea Town Hall, and it's where I want to start. And it says, non mihi, non tibi sed nobis. Now, I had to look it up in case you wondered. It means not for me, not for you, but for us. And that's why I'm giving this speech about the arts, culture and creativity. Because it's for simple reasons. Because I care about you and your success. Because I think the arts, culture and creativity define who we are as a nation. Because you make an incredible contribution to our economic success. And because I think government policy can make a difference and help you succeed as an industry and a sector. And I'm conscious in making this speech that I am venturing into a relatively uncharted, not to say risky, territory. Because both my predecessors, I believe, Tony Blair and Gordon Brown, showed their commitment to a cultural renaissance in this country when it came to arts policy, including with the policy of free museums and galleries. But it's fair to say there haven't been that many set-piece speeches on the arts from British Prime Ministers or leaders of the opposition. In my research for this speech, I did find one by Tony, and also another one by Jim Hacker on Yes Prime Minister. He ended up closing down the National Theatre and getting rid of Radio 3, so I'm not planning to follow in his footsteps tonight. But I think this absence makes a serious point. It actually says more about our political culture than our cultural community. It should be odd that Prime Ministers or leaders of the opposition aren't giving speeches about the arts and culture. Not odd that they are. But that's sort of the way it is. Now, of course, I recognise that saying, I care, isn't a start, but it isn't enough. And I know that the people who subsidise the arts the most are artists themselves, who work for free for long hours for scant financial reward. Yes. Do you agree with something I said? I'm going to say right at the outset, I'm not coming here tonight to make easy promises about funding, despite everything you do, because I can't, because of the financial circumstances that we'll inherit. But I do come with an offer, a different offer, to put policy for the arts and culture and creativity at the heart of the next Labour government's mission. Of course, we should keep the Department of Culture. It says something about our country that should even be a question. But I want to go further. I don't believe culture belongs just to one department. Because what you do matters across our whole society. And we can only achieve the mission of the society that I believe in, based on equality and social justice, if we recognise the value of the arts and culture across every part of government. The Treasury and Biz, because of the economic value that you create, and the need to protect copyright and intellectual property. Shortly we'll be publishing a review by John Woodward on how we can do more to help the creative industries. The Department for Work and Pensions, for the routes into work that you offer, including for young people. The Ministry of Justice, because your work with young offenders is groundbreaking. And the Department of Education, because how we teach the young is so important to your future and to ours. And I want to pause on this point. It matters to young people for the opportunities that they can enjoy. It matters to you for the talent that you have and can use. And it matters to all of us for the magical things that our young people might create. To put it another way, think of the Grayson Perrys, the Anish Kapoors, the Jude Kellys, the Julie Walters, that might be there or might not be there if we get this wrong. So putting art and culture at the heart of government policy means putting art and culture, in my view, at the heart of our offer to young people. And I want to say something in particular about that tonight. Before I do that, let me say something about why the arts and culture matter to me. All of us, I think, particularly in this room, but all of us right across the country, will have our first memories of what moved us as young people. When a painting, a film, a TV programme took us to new worlds, opened up our horizons, helped our imagination transcend our circumstances. I remember, just to give you an example, going to see Anthony Hopkins and David Hare and Howard Brenton's Pravda back in the 1980s. It was, as you will remember, about a ruthless overseas newspaper proprietor. Didn't know I'd be taking him on 30 years later. I love the thrill, something that my family does, taking my two young boys, Daniel and Sam, to the Tate Modern and seeing them run down the slope at the Turbine Hall. Or going to the Donmar Warehouse to watch James Graham's Privacy. Or Justine and I sneaking off to the Odeon Holloway Road to watch great films like Captain Phillips, directed by Paul Greengrass. And in my career, I've been lucky enough as well to see the fantastic workings of the British creative industries from the inside. I was on the board of the Royal Court, and I learned a massive amount about the challenges facing an artistic director and their team, financial challenges as well as creative challenges too. But my commitment to the arts and culture is not just a personal commitment. It's about what the arts and culture do for us all. Now, we already hear a lot about the economic value of creative industries to Britain, and I think it's right that we do. It's an area where Britain leads the world. From the film set of the new Star Wars to training the talent of tomorrow. I had an incredibly brilliant morning at the Brit School. For those of you who haven't been to the Brit School, you should go. You'll actually want to go and enrol at the Brit School if you go. Because, you've got the most creative young people, incredibly enthusiastic about school, more enthusiastic even than I was, about being at school and about what the opportunities there are for them. And every day, we see all around us the evidence of the brilliance of British theatre, design, fashion, architecture, video games, and every other branch of arts and culture. The creative industries account for at least 1.7 million jobs and are the fastest growing sector of our economy, and the Warwick Commission obviously talks a lot about this in their report. But, and this is an important but for me, the importance of the arts and culture goes far beyond pounds and pence. And I think it is really important that as politicians we say that. Because yes, it's got economic value, yes, it's got economic value that is often underestimated by politicians, but its value goes beyond the economic. It defines our character as a nation. Just to give you one example, think about the number of politicians who've given speeches about national identity, some read, some not so well read, and then think about Danny Boyle and the opening ceremony of the Olympics. He did more in one opening ceremony in a couple of hours than, dare I say it, lots of politicians' speeches about our identity. We've got the BBC, a great cultural institution. We've got great architecture and public art, from the Millennium Bridge to the Angel of the North, which lifts our spirits. Publicly funded art and culture is vital to our dynamism as a country and who we are, encouraging experimentation, creativity and innovation. And it also, crucially for me and what I care about, opens up new opportunities. Like at the Cast Theatre in Doncaster, where I'm an MP. The Cast Theatre, which arrived there a few years ago, it's a fantastic place, and providing fantastic new opportunities for people young and old alike. I did also want to say, I met a young man at the Brit School this morning. This tells you about school and what he thought school. And he said to me, this is the school that means we can realise all our dreams. And I would actually go further than this. I would say, if you believe in social justice, if you believe in a more equal society, as I do, then access to the arts and culture is not an optional extra, it is essential. Not simply because of the world it opens up, but because of the wider impact it has. And I think this is a really important point, because I think there is a danger, particularly with what we've seen under this government, and I'm going to say more about that in a bit, that somehow we pose the arts and culture on the one hand, and an academic education on the other, when of course it is total nonsense. The truth is completely the opposite. Indeed, statistically it's interesting, over 40% of 16-year-olds from low-income families who engage in the arts and culture score above average in their school tests. So it is a force multiplier when it comes to achievement, not just in the arts and culture, but in wider academic achievement as well. Those who take part in the arts and culture are more likely to get a degree. Now, I believe it can't be right that all of these advantages are the privilege of a few rather than the right of the many. That's why at the heart of the next Labour government's mission is to guarantee every young person, from whatever background, access to the arts and culture, a universal entitlement to a creative education. And we have a plan to make it happen, which I want to talk to you about tonight. We're going to strengthen creative education in schools and after-school clubs, build clear paths from school, college and university into the arts or creative industries. And I personally commit today to using the power of the Prime Minister's office to put arts and culture policy at the very heart of the next government. Now, if we care about the opportunities for young people, the findings of the Warwick Commission should worry us all. The number of primary school children taking part in music fell from well over half in 2010 to just over a third by 2013. The number of arts and culture teachers in schools has fallen by 11% since 2010. And in 2013, fewer than 1 in 10 students combined arts and culture and science subjects at AS level. Now, I'm going to make a political point now, but I think it's actually warranted. I've got to tell you, in my view, this is a direct consequence of a backward-looking, narrow educational philosophy from a government that has gone from the Gove regime to the Gove regime in all but name. And only this morning I heard at the Brit School about their fear about the all-pervasive downgrading of what they're doing. We've got to turn that around. At the moment, there is no formal requirement for arts and culture and cultural education in schools, and much of what we did to improve access in government has been cut back. So the first part of our plan, to improve access to the arts and culture, the next Labour government will do everything we can to recognise the importance of a creative education. In my view, a truly outstanding education cannot exclude creative subjects, especially if we care about creating fully rounded citizens when they leave school or college at the age of 18. So Harriet Harman and Tristram Hunt, our Shadow Education Secretary, and I have agreed that under Labour we will build the need for a creative education into Ofsted inspections. And schools will have to provide high-quality creative subjects and cultural opportunities to all their pupils if they want to get an outstanding Ofsted rating. Now, I believe this is sending a clear signal, reversing what's happened over the last 5 years about the importance of creative education in every one of our schools. It is about understanding the importance of the arts, that we will succeed in the future with STEAM, not just STEM. Because young people deserve a broad and balanced curriculum, and it is the right thing to do for our country. And we want to do more. We will encourage and support every school to identify a specialist culture champion to connect with arts and culture organisations locally and around the country. And we will work with careers advisors to enable all our children to have access to the very best that Britain has to offer. So our plan starts with schools and making sure creativity and the arts and culture go from the margins to the mainstream in education in this country. The next thing we need to do, in my view, is we need to make sure that the thousands of fantastic arts and cultural organisations we are so fortunate to have are truly open to all our young people in all regions from all backgrounds. For too long, opportunities have been available to some and not all, as the Warwick Commission has shown. And we want to use all the means we can. We will maintain the policy introduced by the last Labour government of free admission to our national museums and galleries. In the first 10 years of free museum and gallery admission, visitor numbers more than doubled. Over 2 million more children visited, and the number of ethnic minority visitors nearly trebled in the first 10 years. Now, I know also that so many of the organisations that you lead are doing more and more every year to widen access to the arts, often against the harshest of odds, both social and financial, and we can't ignore those challenges that you face. But the next Labour government wants to work with you to do more, responding to the challenges that Peter Bazalgette raised only a few months ago. Organisations who receive funding from the Arts Council are already encouraged to improve the number of activities they offer young people. But we want to work with you to do more to ensure that public money is always used to increase the number of arts and cultural opportunities and activities available for young people of all backgrounds. By working with the Arts Council to increase the number of organisations receiving funding with this type of expectation. Supporting and increasing the number of outreach programmes offering dance, theatre and other creative opportunities to young people, as well as reduced admission prices to performances. Now, if the first part of our plan is about school, and the second part is about access, the third part is about working in the arts and creative industries. We must open up the opportunities for young people to work and develop their artistic and creative talents wherever they are in the country. That starts with proper opportunities in school, real work experience, and expert careers advice. Last year there were only 1,000 apprenticeship starts in culture and the creative industries. I think we all know that we need to move, if we can, and I know it's hard, from a culture of unpaid internships to a culture of more paid apprenticeships. The creative industries are one of the fastest growing and increasingly essential sectors of our economy. So a Labour government wants to work with you to increase the number of apprenticeships, giving you more control over the funding that is actually there for training and apprenticeships, and in exchange wanting you to make more of those apprenticeships available. As well as increasing opportunities for apprenticeships, our plan also involves getting young people who've been out of work into work. And I believe there is a really important role for the arts and culture here too. The next Labour government is proposing a jobs guarantee for every young person who's been out of work for 6 months. In return for employers providing a job and at least 10 hours of training to participants, government will pay the wages. We want all of you involved in this. We want to make this happen. We're actually going to pay the wages. We want you involved to inspire our young people. Because you offer the jobs of the future and lots of young people want to work in your sector. And so we'll look to the arts and creative sector to play a key role in creating these paths to employment. And we'll know we've succeeded when we have an Oscar or Olivier or Grammy or BAFTA award winner who has come through this route. The fourth and final part of our plan is ensuring that the voice of arts and culture is heard at the very heart of government. Because as I said at the outset, the importance of the arts and culture goes far beyond education and employment to every part of government. So I want to make a permanent change to the way that arts and culture are represented in Westminster and Whitehall. We want the DPMS to work effectively with other departments. But I want to go further. So I will establish a Prime Minister's Committee on the arts, culture and creative industries. The members of the committee will include leading figures from the arts and culture world, drawn from a whole host of backgrounds from right across the country. As broad a range of talent as we can draw upon. Practitioners as well as decision makers. I want to say a bit about what I think its job will be. To bring key issues of concern in the arts, culture and creative industries directly to the attention of the Prime Minister. To make sure that you and your value is recognised in every government department. to increase funding for the arts and culture by bringing private and philanthropic sources of support into a closer relationship with the public sector, to help us go further in expanding our agenda of increasing access to the arts and culture to our young people. And there's one other area where the Prime Minister's Committee must play a role, a challenge that we all know about: equality of access across the country. Of course, we've seen great regional success stories over the years. The Turner Contemporary in Margate, the Hepworth in Wakefield, the Baltic in Gateshead. Not to mention the huge relaunch of the Whitworth in Manchester and the Liverpool Everyman Theatre. But still too often, opportunities are significantly skewed towards London. And just as the cuts for local government has disproportionately hit some parts of the country, so too, that has had a devastating impact on arts and culture in some regions, making a difficult situation worse. So the first thing the Prime Minister's Committee will do, working with you, is to put a strategy in place to ensure equality of access across the country. As the Arts Council has acknowledged, there is a need to look at the way funding decisions are made, where they're made, including the case for further devolution of resources. And also, how we can better use the resources we have in London, including doing more to ensure the works in the national collection currently in storage are able to actually travel around the country to museums and galleries. Just as the Lewis Chessmen have inspired thousands of people around the country, we should open up objects currently in storage. I can't think of any better job for the PM's Committee, Prime Minister's Committee, than to make sure that people in every part of our country have the chance to enjoy proper access to the culture and creativity of our nation. So this is our plan to celebrate, enhance and open up the arts and culture in Britain for a new generation. It is a core part of our plan for Britain as a whole. Because I believe, and I know so many of you do too, that we will be prouder, richer, stronger when we give everybody the opportunity to develop their creative potential, enhance their talents, and make a life for themselves in the arts and culture. Let me end by saying this. This Wednesday will see the probably to close out with Chris's speech. This Wednesday will see the 50th anniversary of Jenny Lee's white paper on the arts. Jenny Lee had one central belief: that the arts and culture weren't the property of the few, but they came from and belonged to all the people of Britain, old and young, rich and poor, north and south. Her vision enhanced the opportunities of millions and transformed culture and the arts in this country. Tonight, I rededicate myself to making that mission ours again, to ensure that no chance is missed, no imagination remains unopened, and that all our talent is unlocked. That's what the next Labour government will seek to achieve in the arts and culture, and I look forward to doing it with you. Thank you very much.